Most of the vegetables in your garden right now are wasting your time. While you're waiting 80, 90, even 120 days for a single harvest, there's a whole category of vegetables that could have already fed you 3 times over. Today, I'm counting down 15 of them, from the slowest all the way to the one that's ready in as little as 7 days. Stick around because your empty containers are about to look like wasted opportunity. And if you want more science-backed growing guides like this one, hit subscribe now because we're jumping straight into the list. Quick thing before we start, because it explains why some of these numbers might not match what you've seen before. Plants grow on accumulated heat, not calendar days, something called thermal time. Cross roughly 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and a plant starts banking growth toward maturity, and a warmer soil bed can shave 10 or more days off any crop on this list. That's why a radish in cold spring soil might take 32 days while the exact same seed in warmer soil is done in 22. Same seed, same variety, just a different number on the thermometer. Grab one if you don't have one already. Now let's count down. Vegetable number 1 is bush beans, our slowest crop at 42 days, though that's still barely half the time of the standard bean variety, which usually runs 80 days or more. Go with the contender variety specifically. It produces stringless, edible pods well ahead of a normal bean schedule. What sets bush beans apart from the pole beans most people picture is that there's zero trellising involved. No stakes, no structure, just a compact, self-supporting plant that saves you both time and space. The one rule you can't break here is soil temperature. Bush beans need a minimum of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you plant into cold soil, the seeds simply rot before they ever get the chance to germinate. Because the root system develops fast and wide in that short window. Give them real depth too. A 5-gallon container at minimum. Undersize the pot and you choke the very growth that's supposed to be racing toward your dinner plate. Vegetable number 2 is beets. And this is the first of 2 dual harvest crops on our list, meaning you're not waiting for one single payoff, you're getting 2. The bull's blood variety gives you deep purple, nutrient-dense salad greens by day 30, then tender, 1 to 2 inch baby roots underneath by day 40. 1 planting, 2 separate harvests off the same container. The detail almost nobody mentions is boron. If you notice yellowing along the leaf margins, or you slice into a beet and find black spots inside, that's a boron-starved plant telling you exactly what's wrong, and it's a simple fix if you work a boron-supplemented amendment into the soil before you ever sow. Beets also store well once pulled, so if you end up with more than you can eat fresh, they'll hold in the fridge for weeks. Vegetable number 3 is Swiss chard, beet's cousin. And it earns a completely separate spot on this list because it plays a different role in your garden entirely. The bright lights variety produces baby leaves in 25 to 28 days, and the stems come in shades of red, gold, and pink that make it look more like a flower bed than a vegetable patch. Unlike beets, there's no root harvest here. Chard puts everything in the foliage, and it just keeps producing. It shrugs off summer heat noticeably better than spinach does, survives hard winter frosts, and regenerates from the center of the rosette for months on end. Cut what you need for dinner tonight, and by next week, the plant has already replaced it. If you're short on space and want the highest return per square foot of container, chard is one of the best long-term performers on this entire list. We've only just started, and the next 3 vegetables all mature in under 5 weeks, so the pace is already picking up. Vegetable number 4 is turnips, ready in 35 days with the Tokyo Cross hybrid. Most turnip varieties turn pithy and woody if you leave them in the ground even a few days too long. But Tokyo Cross doesn't have that problem. It stays crisp and fine-textured even if you let it swell out to 6 inches across. That forgiveness takes a lot of the pressure off nailing the exact perfect harvest day. The greens are edible too, with a mild, sweet flavor that leans closer to spinach than what you'd expect from a turnip top, so nothing on the plant goes to waste. Sow a short row every 2 weeks instead of one big planting, and you'll have a rolling supply of fresh turnips instead of one overwhelming harvest, followed by nothing. Vegetable number 5 is baby bok choy, The choy variety, bred specifically to stay small, topping out around 5 inches tall with thick, juicy white stems and dark green leaves, ready in 30 to 35 days. It's one of the best container crops on this entire list simply because its compact size means it barely competes for horizontal space. You can pack several plants into a footprint that would only fit one sprawling crop. But there's a hard deadline here that catches a lot of beginners off guard. You need to harvest before temperatures cross 85 degrees, because past that line bok choy bolts almost overnight, sending up a flower stalk and turning noticeably bitter. Treat this one as a race against the thermometer, not just a race against the days on your calendar. Vegetable number 6 is leaf lettuce, ready in 25 to 30 days. Skip heading lettuce entirely, the kind that needs weeks just to form a tight ball, and go with loose leaf varieties like Black Seed and Simpson or the miniature butterhead Tom Thumb instead, both of which give you baby salad greens on a dramatically faster clock. Here's a detail that actually changes the quality of what ends up on your plate. Lettuce cells hold peak turgor pressure early in the morning, so leaves harvested at dawn are crisp and fully hydrated. Harvest that same plant at midday in the heat, and you'll get limp, bitter leaves instead, even though nothing about the plant itself has changed. The clock you harvest by matters just as much as the calendar day. We're only at number 6, and from here the crops get dramatically faster, so if you thought this was moving quickly already, buckle up. Vegetable number 7 is spinach, also landing at 25 to 28 days. Grab the space variety specifically, since it resists downy mildew, which is one of the most common ways a home spinach crop fails before it ever reaches your kitchen. Spinach dumps nearly all its early energy into nitrogen-rich foliage, and interestingly, cold weather actually improves it. A freeze triggers the plant to convert stored starches into sugar, which is exactly why fall-grown spinach tends to taste noticeably sweeter than a summer crop. Heat is the real enemy here. Cross 75 degrees and growth halts almost entirely, pushing the plant toward bolting. If you're growing through a warm stretch, 30% shade cloth over the container can buy you real extra time before that happens. Vegetable number 8 is Komatsuna, ready for baby harvest in 20 to 25 days, and it's genuinely one of the most underused crops on this list. It's exceptionally cold hardy, capable of surviving right underneath snow cover, and it also handles moderate heat better than most of its brassica relatives, giving it a wider growing window than almost anything else here. The one thing it absolutely will not forgive is dry soil. Let its shallow root system dry out completely, even a single time, and it bolts almost immediately in protest, cutting your harvest short. Keep the moisture level consistent, and this crop rewards you with a mild, slightly peppery green that works in stir-fries, salads, or just about anything else you're cooking that week. Vegetable number 9 is mustard greens, the green wave variety, maturing in 21 to 25 days and producing an enormous volume of biomass for the time you've invested. But that fast growth comes with a real trade-off. Flea beetles love mustard greens just as much as you will, and an unprotected crop can end up riddled with what growers call shot hole damage, tiny perforations across every single leaf. Plant it near an aromatic companion like basil, which can help mask the scent from pests, or simply cover it with fine insect mesh from the day you sow. In a 21-day cycle, there's genuinely no time left for the plant to recover from an infestation once it starts. Every remaining vegetable on this list matures in under 25 days. Things are about to move seriously fast from here. Vegetable number 10 is green onions, and this one hands you a genuine shortcut most crops don't offer. Grown from seed, a variety like evergreen hardy white takes 20 to 28 days. Grow it from bulb sets instead, and you can be harvesting in as little as 7 to 10 days. Here's what makes green onions genuinely special though. They regenerate. Cut the green stalks about an inch above the soil line, leave the basal plate and root system completely untouched, and the plant sends up a second harvest, then a third, from that exact same planting. You're not planting once and harvesting once. You're planting once and harvesting repeatedly for weeks. Vegetable number 11 is Mizuna, a Japanese mustard relative that matures in 21 to 25 days, and its real advantage is heat tolerance. Where arugula and standard mustard greens bolt, the second. There's an unexpected warm spell. Mizuna holds its ground without much complaint. It's also a reliable cut-and-come-again green, so you can harvest the outer leaves while letting the center of the plant keep producing, which stretches your actual harvest window well past that initial 3-week mark. We're closing in on the final 4 now. The crops you can grow start to finish in under 3 weeks. Vegetable number 12 is radishes, and this is where the countdown really starts moving. Cultivars like Cherry Belle and French Breakfast germinate in just 3 days at 70 degrees and reach full maturity in 20 to 25 days. Radishes are unforgiving about consistency, though. Loose, sandy loam soil is non-negotiable because compacted or rocky soil produces distorted, woody roots instead of the smooth ones you're picturing in your head. And here's the mistake that ruins more radish crops than anything else: letting the soil dry out and then heavily watering it. That sudden shift in pressure literally cracks the root as it swells to fill the extra moisture. Keep the watering steady from day 1, and the problem never shows up at all. Vegetable number 13 is kale, and it genuinely surprises people to see it this far down the list. Full-sized curly kale takes 60 days to reach the giant leaves you're used to seeing at the grocery store, but the dwarf blue curled variety, picked young as baby kale, is ready in just 25 to 30 days. Baby kale is thin-stemmed and genuinely tender, meaning you can eat it raw in a salad without the massaging step that mature kale usually requires just to become palatable, and its cold tolerance is almost absurd, surviving down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the toughest, most frost-resilient crops on this entire list. Vegetable number 14 is arugula, and this is where things get genuinely exciting. The Astro variety reaches baby leaf stage in just 14 to 21 days, with full rosettes by day 28. Cold isn't the concern here. It tolerates light frost down to 25 degrees without issue. Heat is the problem. Arugula's signature peppery bite comes from glucosinolate compounds, and once temperatures climb above 75 degrees, those compounds spike hard, turning the leaves sharply bitter as the plant rushes toward bolting. Keep it cool, and arugula stays mild, fast, and one of the most efficient greens you can grow in a container. One vegetable left. Don't miss this one, because it's not even close. Vegetable number 15. The fastest vegetable on this entire list is garden cress. Cultivars like curled produce, edible, peppery cotyledons in just 7 to 12 days. Read that again, 7 days. You don't even need soil for this one. Garden cress germinates perfectly well on nothing but a damp paper towel or a shallow tray, which means you can grow it indoors, year-round, completely regardless of season or weather outside. The trade-off is that it's extremely sensitive to hot, dry conditions, so outdoor summer growing is essentially off the table. But as an indoor no-soil crop, absolutely nothing else on this list comes close to matching it. Now here's how you actually keep all 15 of these producing instead of planting once and running dry 3 weeks later. The trick is succession sowing. Simply staggering your planting dates so something is always sitting at harvest stage. A fresh batch of arugula sown every 5 days gives you a rolling harvest starting around day 14 that basically never stops. 10 to 15 radish seeds sown every 10 days means nothing sits in the ground going woody because you couldn't eat it fast enough. Spinach or chard sown every 14 days keeps a permanent rotating supply of baby greens coming through your kitchen. This one habit, staggering instead of dumping everything in on day 1, is the entire difference between a single overwhelming harvest followed by 3 empty weeks and a garden that hands you something edible almost every single day of the season. A few rules that apply across nearly all 15 of these before we wrap up. Water early, between 4 and 9 in the morning, so the leaves dry out during the day instead of sitting wet overnight and inviting fungal problems like downy mildew. Get ahead of pests before you ever see them, not after. Floating row covers or fine insect mesh laid down at the moment of sowing will block flea beetles, cabbage moths, and root maggot flies before they ever reach your seedlings. And in a 20 or 30-day cycle, there's genuinely no time for a plant to recover once an infestation takes hold. And remember the nitrogen rule that trips up so many beginners. Nitrogen-rich fertilizer is fantastic for leafy greens. But on a root crop like radishes or turnips, too much of it pushes all the plant's energy into leaves at the direct expense of the root, leaving you with a lush, healthy-looking top and a disappointing little nub underneath. 15 vegetables, all of them harvestable in under 45 days, one of them ready in under 2 weeks. Think about it. A week from now, garden cress could already be sitting on your plate while most gardeners down the street are still waiting for their tomato seedlings to even sprout. If you got a balcony, a patio, or even just a sunny kitchen counter, there's no real excuse left for an empty container. Tell me in the comments, are you starting with cold-tolerant arugula or heat-tough Swiss chard this weekend? I read through every one of these and it genuinely shapes what I cover next. If this changed how you look at your empty containers, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one, where I'll walk you through exactly how to build the perfect potting mix and set up an automated drip system so you never have to think about watering again.